Ciao, y'all. Joe here. I know Espresso.com. Today is a topic that I know not many people really care to hear about, but I see it so often that I just have to talk about it. So here we go. It has to do with cleanliness and cleaning and how to clean on a fairly regular basis the coffee machine. Now what we have here today is a Portafilter Pro 700 or 700 Pro, whatever, but that doesn't matter. This can apply to literally every machine out there that has the Backflush possibility. So entry-level machines that don't have the right kind of equipment don't matter. We're talking about professional level, consumer, prosumer they call them sometimes. The point of this is that machines like this are like, you might say, a fancy sports car, a Ferrari, BMW, something, you know, high-end sports car. Well, if you really own one of those vehicles but you don't service it properly, it is not going to perform like you expect it to perform. And for most people, even just going through the car wash can be an aspect of taking care of a high-end piece of machinery. And I think that's the best analogy for a machine like this, which is high-end, certainly mid to high. These days, you know, the newer ones coming out have all kinds of bells and whistles, but the internal components are the same. And this particular topic of cleaning that we're going to talk about today applies to all of them, okay? So just please understand what I'm trying to get at. You would not let your high-end sports car go without changing the oil or checking the air in the tires or replacing the wiper blades or any number of other things that we could talk about. And this is exactly the same. I really think that's a good analogy. So, even if you owned a less fancy automobile, those can benefit and do benefit from changing the oil, checking air in the tires, etc. And those are things that even if you don't actually do them, you should know how, or know that you need to bring it to someone to do that on a frequent basis or more regular basis. So, all right, I hope I haven't belabored that point. Maybe I have. Well, that's good. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a double shot of espresso. I'm using the Blessed Bean, which is my blend of coffee. So I have portioned out into my Portafilter basket 17 grams. That's the proper amount for a double shot of Blessed Bean. 17 grams of coffee. I'm going to knock my Portafilter handle down. I'm going to insert the basket and tamp it. If I can find my tamper, there it is. Okay, so I'm tamping. And now I'm going to pull a double shot. Well, you say, well, what does that have to do with cleanliness? I'll show you. Trust me. I'm not doing this just to show a delicious shot of coffee. Now, this is not really the Portafilter handle that goes with the machine. I just use it as my shop one. It fits so many different machines. So as you can see, it's a little further than center, and the spouts are in the wrong orientation. But that doesn't matter. I'm using it in the shop. So I'm just going to pull a shot. I'm not going to bother to pre-infuse or anything. I'm just pulling a shot because it's after I pull the shot that I want to show you something. So here we go. Now, while it's pulling, I'll tell you that this machine has been in for service. It was thoroughly cleaned, including the group screen, the gasket, the drip tray. The whole machine, as you can see, is pretty clean. And so it's been in use now in testing for about a week. So that was a little bit fast, but that's okay. I can drink that one. It's been in testing for about a week since it was thoroughly cleaned. And there's a reason that I'm telling you that as well, that we'll see in a moment. So that shot is done. I'll pull the Portafilter down and knock out the coffee. Yep, good, nice and clean. All right, but what's that all about? Well, here's what it's about. What I recommend and have always recommended, because I use and work on commercial grade machines in coffee bars, etc., and I train baristas and managers, etc., and what I try to stress to them is that the better they are at maintaining the machine, the less frequently I need to work on their machines. So I'm trying to get that across to everyone in this video. So I just want to show you, all we did was make one shot of coffee. This is not scientific method. I'm not trying to be, blind, do a blind study and all. This is just anecdotal, but it is true, and believe me, I've seen it over the years. I have a sort of translucent plastic container here that's sort of white. You can see easily any dirt that would be on there. I'm going to just pop that under the Brewgroup, and I'm going to just run some water through the group, right? So I've just pulled a shot. So imagine that you're done using your machine. Let's say you use it at home and you make a couple of 3 cappuccinos or a cafe latte or whatever it is, or a few shots of espresso like I would do, and you're done for the day, or at least until later in the day. This is what I recommend you do when you're shutting down the machine. You do not have to do it after every shot. That would be ridiculous and fanatical, and even I am not that fanatical, so I'm not saying that. But before you shut the machine down, which is to say that before, you're not going to be running any water through it, but it's still going to be hot, and it's going to sit there in a hot state. This is what you should do. Just pull a few seconds worth of water through the group. The more water I pull, the less the result of what I'm going to show you will be, but still, that was a fair test. Now I want you to see what is in this container. And I hope you can really actually see that. Yes. You can see the coffee grounds in the bottom of that container. I know I'm spilling some of the water, but that's okay. I want you to see the result of this. Through this, if you were using a white cup or a glass or something, you could see it well. This is what you would be leaving behind in the group screen and the group head. Why would you want to do that? Coffee is somewhat corrosive. It's acidic, and it's like sandpaper. If you've ever experienced that, you know what I'm talking about. So if any coffee grounds and residue get on the group gasket, for instance, and then you go to put the portafilter back in place, any coffee that's on the group gasket is going to get on the edge of the thing, especially if you're not careful about cleaning it off before you put it up. It's going to get on the tangs of the portafilter basket and also then up in the group head. So it causes problems, but more than that, it hurts the taste of the coffee because you're leaving behind old and what will very soon become stale, not good tasting coffee. So I recommend that you do that, and that is why I provide a bowl generally to my clients so that they can do that. There are all kinds of fancy brushes and rags and things that you can use to actually physically clean it. But if you do this on a regular basis, meaning every day when you go to shut down, that took, 15 seconds? I mean, it's nothing. And you don't even have to do it in a bowl. You could do it into your drip tray. That just means having to empty the drip tray more frequently. So I do it in the bowl because that's easier to just toss down the drain, right? All right, now I want to show what the group screen looks like after about a week of not really high use, just say 3 or 4 espressos a day. This is not my machine, so I don't use it on a regular basis. I used it specifically for making coffees to make this video to show you the result. Okay, so consider 2 to 3 double shots of coffee every day for about a week. I want to show you. Again, the drip tray was cleaned and was nice and shiny, and I recommend doing it in the dishwasher. That's the most efficient and easiest way. You know, just toss it in the dishwasher, and it's stainless steel. You can put it on the bottom rack and it will come clean beautifully. I'm just going to dump some of the residual water out of there, which is dirty water, just like we saw. And I want you to see the bottom of the drip tray, okay? So that's what it looks like. And then you can see that bare spot there from where the exhaust valve, the pressure release valve, has spit high pressure and hot water into the tray. Oh, high pressure hot water. That's exactly what a dishwasher would do. You get that point? Okay, so I'm going to put this back, but this is only after a week of use. And this is still wet, which means it's still, going to come off of there easily, whereas once it dries up, then it gets caked and dried, and so just like in any cleaning, that's harder to clean off. So again, the more frequently you do this, the better. So let me get the drip tray back into place. Okay. Alright, so now I want to show you what the group screen looks like, and I'm going to use my tool. This is not something certainly that I recommend that you have to do frequently. If you could, it's great. If you want to get used to being able to do it, you can use a screwdriver. I don't use a screwdriver on customers' machines because I don't want to scratch anything or dent anything. So this is the gasket, the group gasket. I think it's pretty clear. Let me put a little extra light on that. There you go. You can see the coffee residue. There it is, right? I think that's pretty clear. If I just wipe it like that, you can see it. So that's the part that faces down that the portafilter has to lock against. And this is just normal use. I haven't done anything, over the top with this thing. And now look at the basket, the filter basket. This is just 1 week of several shots a day. Okay? That's what it looks like. Now, I have not been doing that rinse process that I just showed you a little bit ago, purposely to show you what it looks like if you don't do that. So let me put the group screen and gasket back up in. Now, taking that out is not that difficult, as you saw. What did it take? Just a few seconds. Putting it back in can be a little more challenging because you want to get it in there properly. But once it is in a little bit of the way, you can get it to go completely in place by just putting the bare portafilter back in and bringing it around, and that pushes everything back into place. And it's really not difficult or complicated or technical even. Alright, now we have our group screen and gasket back into place. Now I'm going to perform the backflush and what I've termed, and I don't know of anybody else who teaches it or does it or has demonstrated it, but I've demonstrated it in several videos. I call it the Portafilter Jiggle, and I teach this to baristas all the time, that at end of day in a busy coffee bar, you would do it every day. At home, do it once a week or once every couple of weeks. It's not difficult. I always provide the correct powder to do it with. And so the backflush cleaning you can do without any cleaning solution every day. You simply put the backflush disc or basket in the portafilter, right? No holes. And you put it in place, and you just pull the lever, and you let it, quote unquote, brew or extract. The pressure will go up, so high pressure water is pushing its way through. But the part about this that is the magic, the secret, is if you'll watch down here through the exhaust valve, that's what I call it, the pressure release valve, you'll see water come spitting out of that into the drip tray. There it is. And that's what we want. because what we're doing now is flushing good clean water through the group head and back out a part that normally has expelled coffee water. It's not coffee, but it is water with coffee grounds and the residual of the coffee. After you make every shot properly, that's going to happen. So if you just do that a couple of times, that's it. And then this will be filled with water, and you can see, let me dump this into my white container. Now you can see how much cleaner that water was. It still has a few little grounds in there, and I didn't rinse the container, but compared to what we saw earlier, you'd have to say that's a huge difference. Now let's move on to doing that same procedure with some cleaning powder, which is meant specifically for this operation. I use my own blend of powders that I get commercially, but you can access this one from Italy called Coffee Clean if you can find it. There's also Pulicaf, which is also from Italy, and those are my favorites because I'm Italian and that's what I like to use. But there's also Cafiza and many others on the market. You know, they're all going to do this job. The important thing is to do it, not worrying about what powder you use. As long as it's meant for this purpose, it'll be fine. So, into your blank portafilter, your Backflush portafilter basket, you're going to put a couple of teaspoons, and again, this is not critical. Don't, get fanatical about the amount. Doing it is more important than worrying about how much. So I say to do enough where it covers the entire bottom of the, and this is a kind of a bigger spoon than would be a teaspoon, but I say do it until it covers the whole bottom of the portafilter, the blank. And I hope you can tell that that's what we've got, right? Then you put it up in place and you brew. Pull a shot, in other words. Just like we did a few seconds ago with the blank basket. First we flushed everything out, then we used the blank basket to clean the pressure relief valve, the exhaust valve. Now we're cleaning it in a more thorough way, which again, you don't have to do every day, unless you're in a high volume coffee bar and you do it at the end of the day before shutdown. That's what I recommend. But for a prosumer use where you're making a few shots a day, you can do this once every 10 days, once every couple of weeks. You can tell by looking up at the group screen if you've done it often enough. Now normally the recommendation is to do it on for 10 seconds and then shoot it out. And if you notice, the water is already getting dirty from doing this procedure. And yeah, I'm letting it shoot into the drip tray rather than into the bowl, which I usually recommend for catching things that are coming out of the group head. I want it to go in the drip tray. Why? Because this powder is meant to clean coffee residue. And so I have coffee residue in my drip tray, so I'm killing two birds with one stone here by using the powder or the effluent from that group head cleaning to also clean my drip tray. So I'm going to do it 2 or 3 times, maybe 5 times even, just whatever. What we're really looking for is to see when this water exiting down here has cleared up and is no longer, even a little bit coffee colored and doesn't have any more of the powder in it, the residue. So I can see that there is still some coffee colored water coming out of there. This is not hurting the machine. On the contrary, this is good for it. And in fact, it's recommended. All manufacturers who have the pressure release valve on them do recommend this. So of course you want to do it. And it needs to have the right equipment, of course, but again, as I said at the beginning, we're talking about machines that aren't entry-level, Krups style machines. Nothing wrong with those. If that's all you can afford and like, then that's fine. I just say drink good espresso, whatever machine you're using. And if you keep it clean, that espresso will be much more delicious. So I'm not going to keep doing this. You get the idea. You want to do it until you get reasonably clear, clean water coming out down here. Now the powder I'm using does not foam as much as some of the other brands. I don't care about the foam. I don't need the foam to see what's happening. I'm doing this in a workshop environment, not at home. So you can use the ones that have foam. That's all well and good. That's great. Okay, so I think that is getting pretty clear. So the next thing I'm going to do then is take out my drip tray, because it is getting somewhat full with water. And I'm just going to take it to the sink, and I won't bore you with all of that, but I will just quickly, you can see how long I'm taking if you like. I'm still getting the drain tray grate out of there. And I'm just going to use a typical kitchen dish scrub brush, like that, okay? Doesn't have to be fancy, no special equipment needed. And using that solution that's in the bottom of that's in the drip tray now, I'm just going to run the scrub brush around inside there. Now this is an alternative to putting it in the dishwasher. But you can put all of these parts in the dishwasher, including the cup rest up here, the drip tray and the grate, etc. can go in a dishwasher. And you can even put the powder in the dishwasher in small quantities. But even the dishwashing soap, the powder or the packets, whatever is your choice, will work to clean this tray. And if you do this whenever you clean the Brewgroup with the powder, then that's what you can achieve. Okay? That was nothing. I mean, how long did that take? And it was no work, and all I did was use my usual kitchen scrub brush. You don't need any special fancy equipment for that, right? You could do the same to the screen. I won't take the time, but again, it's not a lot of time, really. Just trying to show you how clean you can get things by doing it this way. All right, now I will take down the Portafilter and the blank and show you the amount of dirt that is in. So remember, we rinsed this already with clear water. We didn't use the powder to begin with. And you can see the filthy water that's in there. And I still do have some powder left. So I could use that to clean the tray or the grate or whatever. All right, and I'll leave a little bit still in there. I'm not done yet. I'm going to pull the group screen and the gasket down, but I'm not done yet. Okay, I'm just doing a little bit of a rinse just to clear out all the residue, and there's some more. So I think you're getting the idea that even just that clear water did help, but it didn't get it all, did it? All right, now I'm going to put a little bit more powder into my Portafilter, my blank, just like I did before. And now I'm going to do a process that, as I said, I call the Portafilter Jiggle. I'll put a tray or a bowl, it could be a wide mouth bowl is fine, that's what I usually provide. And if you want, if depending on what your counters are or your particular setup, you can even put a towel, a bar towel, along the bottom. And I don't usually do this, but for these purposes, if you want to keep things dry and not have any cleanup afterwards, then that's fine. Now you want to take your Portafilter and put it up into place, but not crank it all the way around till it's locked. You want it to be right where you see that I can jiggle it, hence the name, the Portafilter Jiggle. And I'll even take it down. I'm just going to demonstrate before actually doing it. I'll even take it down to this point and bounce it up and down like this, but under here. So let me just do that. You can see that I'm bouncing it up and down. You want a lot of play in there and be able to move it back and forth. Again, it takes a little bit of practice, but it is not a technical operation, huh? So all we're going to do now is run water while we use that jiggling motion. And imagine now what's happening inside here that you can't see, of course. What's happening is that cleaning solution is splashing all over underneath inside the machine, the group head. And that's what we want, because we want to clean other parts that we can't clean when the portafilter is sealed in place. There's a closed path, so we're not getting everything that's up under there. But this will help to get the gasket clean as well. So let's do it. So again, it's in there kind of loose, and all you have to do is just be careful to hold the handle towards the back here. Many handles are canted, they're tilted back towards the operator, so you don't want the hot water to come back at you, but if you're doing it wrong if you're getting too much hot water in that way. Alright, so here we go. We have our portafilter engaged, but very loosely, in fact right at the point where it could fall out. And now I'm going to pull the lever and get water flowing and do my jiggle that I demonstrated without the water flow just a moment ago. So here we go. And you can see the hot water and the dirty hot water coming out. And I'm going to bring it over and just bounce it up and down. It's hard to do from this angle, but you'll have better success at it. And occasionally you can even kind of partially lock it into place and then pop it down. And if it gets stuck, that's fine. It's under pressure. So just stop the flow and try it again. I'm trying to do it without my hand blocking everything, but I think you can get the idea. So now I'm jiggling back and forth, up and down. I'm trying to splash water all around up underneath there. Okay. I'll do it again. So I have a little bit of powder left, so I'll keep going until I've used up and splashed all that powder out. Sorry about my arm being in the way, but this is much easier if you're standing right in front of the machine, but of course I can't do that. And I don't have multiple cameras, so you'll just have to trust me. Alright. So there we go, and now I have just a tiny bit of powder left, so I'll dump that out. And I don't even have to show you, I think you can see the dirty water that we've extracted from up under there. Now remember, this is only from about a week of use. After it was completely taken apart, all of the group head for the coffee path here was taken apart and cleaned. So in just a week, that's how much dirty coffee and coffee residue ended up under there. Alright, so now let me just flip this around. Now I'm going to rinse. So I've done the cleaning, and now I just want to rinse the whole assembly. So I'll just rinse the portafilter blank, the backflush disc. I've rinsed it out, and now I'm just going to rinse the whole assembly, doing exactly the same thing I just did, but without the coffee clean solution and without my tray. There we go. And all I'm doing is rinsing with clean water, so I don't have any more residue of the coffee clean powder up there. And as I do that, the more I do it, the cleaner it's getting, as you can see. But hold on, I'm going to take that basket and gasket down, the screen and the gasket down. Now I'm going to rinse just through the exhaust valve to get all of the coffee clean out. Now, once you're done with this, A lot of manufacturers, and I guess I do too, recommend that the first actual shot of coffee you pull, the next time you do that, is kind of the sacrificial one. And that's probably a good idea, especially if you're not experienced at doing this. That first shot of coffee, maybe just toss it, just to be sure that you've made a coffee. And that one maybe still has some residue. It's not likely, but it is possible. Okay. Now look at the water that we have in the blank. It's nearly completely, yeah, in fact it is completely clean. And if I can dump it into the, there you go. It's pretty obvious what the success was. So now, just to be perfectly honest and clear, I'm going to pull down the brew screen and the gasket. And remember, this is hot, so I'm kind of used to doing this. So, all right, take a look. That's the inside of our basket, of our group screen. There's the outside. So you can see that I didn't really do that much. And here is the gasket, again clean, no residue, nothing to be like sandpaper on the surface of it, and it's all clean and beautiful. And importantly, you can, I don't think it'll show in the camera, but you can see that all of the holes and the screen are completely clear, so you're getting the proper dispersion through the group screen that you're supposed to get. These parts, the part that it's up in there and this, are all called part of the diffuser assembly because they diffuse the water through all of the holes so it extracts the coffee evenly. So if those holes are blocked because of coffee buildup and residue, you're not getting a proper extraction. So there's the after. I showed you the before. This is basically what it looked like when I put it back together a week ago. It was even more thoroughly clean, but I actually took it apart to clean it. So I think I've proved the point of cleanliness and why it should be done, how it can be done, and how easy it is, really not time consuming. I've taken way more time to make the video of it than it would actually take you to do. I think it's pretty clear, what the result is. One more thing is that if you find that the holes are truly really blocked and you feel like you can take this down, then you can soak it in your bowl, stainless steel or glass, whatever you have, with the coffee clean powder, whichever brand you're using. You can put a little bit in it, and then with the hot water from the machine, fully hot water, that's really nice hot clean water, you can soak it, and again with your kitchen brush, just like we did with the drip tray, you can clean it out both sides and get it really, really clean. You don't have to do that so often if you do this procedure. I think that's pretty clear that this is nice and clean, and if you do this once every couple of weeks, even once a month, you're going to keep it lasting and making good coffee for a much longer period. Okay? I hope that helps and alleviates some tension about it and convinces you that it's a good thing, a good practice. It is best practice to do this. And of course, as I said in the beginning, I think I always include a microfiber towel with my units because I want to encourage that to be dedicated just to your coffee machine. So a stainless steel bowl for evacuating the coffee after the end of service, quote unquote, and rinsing the group screen and head and all, and a microfiber cloth that you can use to keep the surfaces pretty. And especially because you have hot water and even steam available to you to use to do your cleaning. So there's no reason that all of this, you just wipe it down. You don't have to shine it necessarily. you know, it's polished stainless, so it's going to shine, even if it has some minor streaks and such on it. It's going to be beautiful, but more than that, you can tell when things go wrong. All right, I think I've belabored that point well enough, so I'll say ciao, 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 drink good coffee, ciao, ciao. Bonus content, right? I didn't show putting back the group screen and gasket, so I want to do that. I think you did notice while I've done this that, and I did it twice, I pulled that out with just this little tool, but again, you can use a flat bladed screwdriver. There's a, let's see if I can show you, there's a little lip, a seam on most baskets, not all of them, but it's not that critical. This is just a help to be able to do this, where you're going to grab it and pull it down, right? And you just lever it down. It should not be difficult, especially if you're keeping it clean. So, but I do want to show how to put it back, because again, it's not technical, it's just takes a little alignment. And what I find for the consumer, the easiest way to do that is to, using your blank basket, which you should have out, you were just using it, you can put the group screen and the gasket assembly together. Now this is for all machines that don't have a screw in the center. Of course, if you have a screw in the center, then you have to remove the screw. But most machines at this level do not have a screw. They are like this, or very, very similar. All right, so put that in, then line up the portafilter like you were going to make a coffee, and carefully just draw it around, and you'll know if the portafilter is level across there and it looks like it does when you make a coffee and locks into place in the same way, then you're done. The group screen and the gasket are installed and working just like they're supposed to. You can pull this around all the way as far as you can safely, and you can know that everything is in place, and then just make sure that you can lock it in place a couple of times and you're good to go. So that is really not a technical, difficult thing. And as I say, you don't have to use a fancy tool, and this is not fancy at all. I will go ahead and carefully use a screwdriver. What I would do if I was going to do this in a pinch, I would wrap it with a rag, just so I don't scratch or hurt the chrome and the polishing up under there. But it's very easy to do. You just put it in an angle and pry it down. And again, I'm doing this just boom, no time at all, right? So a screwdriver actually works really well, but I don't like to do it, as I say, because I don't want to risk hurting the machine. And again, now I'm going to put it back into place. And as long as you are lining up the tangs or the ears, the various people call them different things, as long as those are level across and lined up properly, then you'll be able to complete that. So now this machine is clean and ready to go and make really good coffee. Ciao, ciao, ciao.